I want you to picture a very specific kind of person.
Right.
Imagine a scientist.
Okay.
And I don't mean the polished guy accepting a Nobel Prize in a tuxedo.
Right. Not that one.
No. I mean the guy in the lab at like 3 a.m. He hasn't shaved in a week. He's wearing one blue sock and one brown sock because he literally didn't notice.
Mm-hmm.
He forgot to eat lunch. He forgot to eat dinner. He is just vibrating with this frantic, intense, almost scary intellectual energy.
The quintessential mad professor?
Exactly, because he is obsessed with finding the truth about one specific equation. And the reason I'm starting here is that today we're talking about the cosmic engine that generates that exact intensity.
That fine line between genius and madness.
Yes, we're looking at a vibration that is brilliant, chaotic, a little destructive, and apparently absolutely necessary.
Today we are taking a deep dive into the star known as Ardra.
Ardra, so help me place this on the map. Where are we?
We are looking at the constellation of Gemini, specifically the slice of the sky from 6 degrees 40 minutes to 20 degrees minutes. And honestly, this is one of the most misunderstood and, well, in some traditions, even feared sections of the zodiac.
Feared. That's a strong way to start.
It's intense. I mean, if you want to understand the storm that clears the air or the surgeon who has to cut you open to save your life, this is where we have to look.
Okay, let's unpack the name first. I was looking at the translations, and for a star that you're calling feared and intense, the name is a bit of a letdown. Ardra literally means the wet one.
Or moist.
Moist. It sounds like a humidity forecast. Why wet? What are we talking about here?
Well, context is everything. When the ancients said wet, they weren't talking about a gentle pond or
a damp towel.
Exactly. Not a damn towel. Oh, think about nature. What creates that kind of wetness?
A storm, rain.
A storm. A torrential downpour. And in the human experience, what creates wetness on your face?
Tears.
Tears. Sweat. The dampness of the earth after a massive thunderstorm. Ardra is wet, like the world is wet after a hurricane has passed through.
So it's not the water itself, it's the event that brings the water.
It's the catharsis, the renewal, the freshness, the green that comes only after the storm.
That makes more sense. Which brings us to the symbols. We've got two main ones, and they seem completely contradictory.
They do on the surface.
On one hand, we have the teardrop, okay, that tracks with storms and crying. But then we have the diamond.
One is soft and liquid. The other is the hardest substance on Earth. But they actually tell the exact same story.
Okay, I feel like I'm back in science class. Walk me through it.
Well, think about how a diamond is made. What is it, really? It's carbon. It's basically just dirt or coal.
Right.
But that raw material gets subjected to such crushing pressure and such intense heat deep inside the earth.
It has no choice but to transform.
It transforms because of the stress. That is the journey of Ardra. The teardrop is the pressure, the sorrow, the storm of life. The diamond is the result.
So Ardra is the pressure cooker.
It is the cosmic pressure cooker designed to turn coal into crystal.
Wow. That's a powerful image. And speaking of power, we have to talk about the deity running this show, Rudra.
Rudra, the howler.
The howler. See, now we're back to the scary movie vibes.
In the Vedic tradition, Rudra is this fierce primal form of Shiva. He is the storm god. He is the one who cries out, and this is key, he is the one who makes others cry out.
That sounds fun.
It sounds necessary. Rudra is the force that destroys structures that have become too rigid, and the ancient seers linked him to a very specific star you can see in the sky. Betelgeuse. It's in the constellation of Orion, the hunter. If you look up, you can't miss it. It's that massive, ruddy red star at Orion's shoulder.
And it's a red giant.
Red giant. It's unstable. It pulsates. It glows this deep, angry red. The ancients looked up, saw this volatile red eye in the sky, and said, that is the face of Rudra.
So that red color is his anger, or...
It represents high voltage. Anger, yes, but also that red face someone gets when they're either sobbing uncontrollably or screaming in a rage. It's pure intensity.
So our mission today is to understand the psychology behind this. The notes call it the dissecting intellect. Why dissecting? Why not just smart?
Because of the mechanics. So this is all happening in Gemini, which is an air sign ruled by Buddha, or Mercury.
The data processor.
Right. Buddha is intellect, logic, communication. But in Ardra, that Mercury energy is being influenced by the star's own ruler, Rahu.
The shadow planet, obsession.
Obsession, amplification, breaking taboos. So imagine you take a really good computer processor, that's Mercury, and then you overclock it with this wild high-voltage electricity. That's Rahu.
You get a machine that runs 1,000 miles an hour and might just catch fire.
Exactly. When you mix obsession with intellect, you don't just get someone who reads a book. You get someone who wants to tend the book apart to analyze the glue in the binding.
That's the dissecting part.
Yes. The star before this, Mrigashira, is about searching and enjoying the forest. Ardra stops enjoying the forest and starts dissecting the leaves to understand photosynthesis. They need to know the cause behind the effect.
Which brings us back to that child archetype. The sources say Ardra natives have the emotional volatility of a 7-year-old. That seems like a strange contrast to a scientist.
It's the churning. Think of a summer storm. The sky turns black, thunder cracks, that's Rudra howling, and the rain just dumps down. It's so intense. But 20 minutes later,
the sun is out.
Birds are singing, everything is green. Ardra natives are like that. They can shift from intense, tearful sorrow to brilliant laughter in minutes. They feel everything like a child, but they analyze it with the cold logic of a scientist.
Okay, I have to push back on something here. Varahamihira, the ancient sage, describes people with this star as, and I'm quoting, ungrateful, wicked, violent, or proud.
It is harsh language.
It's incredibly mean. If I'm an Ardra native listening, I'm thinking, wicked, really?
You have to contextualize it through that dissecting intellect.
Okay, contextualize wicked for me.
If your whole drive is to find the root cause, to tear away the illusion, what the texts call maya, to get to the truth.
Yeah.
You aren't going to be very polite about it.
You're the person at the dinner party saying, actually, that heartwarming story isn't true. Here are the facts.
Exactly. And to everyone else, that looks like ungratefulness. Why can't you just enjoy the moment? But to the Ardra native, they aren't trying to be rude. They are just hyper-focused on what's real.
So the wickedness is really a lack of a social filter.
Often, yes, it's that biting sarcasm. They cut with their words. But the intent is usually to cut away ignorance. Although, if you're on the receiving end, it still feels pretty violent.
We have some famous examples that really show this. Albert Einstein had his ascendant in Ardra.
The perfect prototype. He embodied that mad professor vibe. But his work, he started with the material certainty of physics, and he just wasn't satisfied. He had to break it.
He moved toward the unknown.
He wrestled with randomness. Ardra rules that random X factor. Einstein spent his life dissecting the fabric of reality, questioning the absolute laws everyone else just accepted. That's Rahu.
And on the emotional side, Janis Joplin. Her moon was in Ardra.
A totally different manifestation, but the same core energy. Her life was a literal storm. And her voice...
wasn't pretty.
No, it wasn't polished. It was raw. It was a howl.
A howl. Like Rudra.
Exactly. She used her art as catharsis. She took her pain, the teardrop, and squeezed it under pressure to create that diamond of a voice. She didn't hide the storm. She sang it.
I want to shift gears to the 4 stages, the Padas. Reading through them, it feels less like a list and more like the life cycle of a storm.
It absolutely is a narrative. You can see the evolution.
So let's walk through it. We start with Pada 1 in Sagittarius Navamsa.
Right. Sagittarius is Jupiter. So here, the storm begins as curiosity. This is the happy phase. The scientist looking up at the stars saying, I wonder. It's exploratory, maybe a little spacey.
The clouds are gathering, but it feels like an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
But then we hit Pada 2 in Capricorn, and the vibe changes completely.
Drastically. Capricorn is Saturn. This is material frustration.
Wall.
The wall. All that infinite curiosity just slams into the brick wall of reality. You have a brilliant idea, but you can't get the parts.
This feels like the heavy, thundering part of the storm.
It is. The texts say this is where the troubles and misfortunes manifest. It's the anger of trying to fit infinite ideas into a finite world.
Then we move to Pada 3, Aquarius.
Also ruled by Saturn, but Aquarius is an air sign. This is the lightning strike.
High voltage.
This is the peak. The research happens here. Sudden bursts of inspiration, the eureka moment in the middle of chaos. This is scientific brilliance at its absolute highest. It's electric.
And finally, Pada 4 in Pisces.
Pisces, ruled by Jupiter again. This is the calm after. The rain has fallen. The air is clean.
The green earth we talked about.
Exactly. The stage brings compassion, sensitivity. It's the realization that the storm was necessary. The person here wants to help others because they understand the pain. They've been through it and have the diamond.
So practically speaking, what does this person do for a living? The sources use a specific word to describe the activity here.
Tikkun.
Tikkun. It means sharp or even dreadful, and the caste associated with it is the butcher.
Whoa, the butcher. That feels, well, it goes back to the wicked thing. I know, it sounds visceral, but strip away the judgment and think about the function. A butcher separates. They cut away what's not needed. In a modern context, we call them the cutters.
So,
Surgeons are the classic example. Surgery is, objectively, a violent act. You're using a sharp instrument, tichia, to cut into a body. But why?
To save the patient. To remove the tumor.
Precisely. It's a controlled storm. Dreadful activity for a benevolent purpose.
What about the Rahu influence? Electricity and illusion?
Huge role. Yeah. That leads to careers in tech. Coding. AI. Think about it. Coding is a language of pure logic. Buddha used to create a virtual reality. Rahu. Ardra natives are the architects of the matrix.
Or hacking it.
They love taking things apart.
The notes also mentioned healing with poison.
Yes. Think of homeopathy or even chemotherapy.
How so?
Rahu is associated with venom. In homeopathy, you use tiny traces of a substance that causes symptoms to cure those same symptoms. In chemo, you are literally putting poison into the body to kill the cancer.
Using a dreadful method to bring about life. The storm that destroys the dead wood so the forest can grow again.
Exactly.
Listening to this, it feels like nothing comes easy for this star. It's not a lucky vibration.
That is the core lesson. The power, or Shakti, associated with this star is Yatna Shakti.
Yatna Shakti.
It translates to the power to make effort.
That sounds exhausting. Congratulations. Your superpower is you have to try really, really hard.
It's not the one you'd pick, is it? But look at the symbol, the hunter shooting an arrow at a distant target. Success in Ardra is not a gift, it is hunted. It comes through struggle, sweat, and arduous effort.
So if you have planets here, you aren't going to win the lottery. You're going to have to work for it.
You have to work. But the promise is that if you put in the sweat, that moisture again, you will hit the target. The arrow will land.
So for someone listening who might be in an Ardra period or has this star prominent and they just feel like they're constantly in a storm, how do they calm it down?
The tradition is specific. Since the deity is Rudra, worshipping Shiva or Rudra is the primary method. You honor the storm instead of running from it.
And there's a mantra, a specific sound.
Yes. The root mantra is Om.
Om.
That syllable Om is for high intellect. It helps sharpen Mercury's focus without the emotional turbulence of Rahu. It turns worry into planning.
I think I like the philosophical remedy even better, though.
The philosophy is the real cure. Embrace the moisture.
Meaning, cry more?
Meaning, don't be afraid of the tears or the sweat. The idea is that the dust of the past old karmas, bad habits, ignorance, what we call tamas, it gets stuck to you, and only a storm can wash it all off.
So the breakdown is actually the breakthrough.
It is the only way to the breakthrough. Just as rain makes the dry earth fertile again, the emotional storm makes the soul fertile. You have to let it rain.
That's beautiful. It really changes how you look at a bad day or even a bad year. It's just the weather cleaning the landscape. So, as we wrap up, we've gone from the mad scientist to the storm god, from a tear-soaked face to a brilliant diamond.
It is the journey from carbon to crystal.
And the key takeaway, I think, is that Ardra is the diamond in the storm. It's that unlearning, that destruction of ignorance that has to happen before we can really know anything.
It's the bravery to destroy the illusion to find what is real.
I want to leave you with a thought. Imagine the storm has just ended. You know that smell, the distinct fresh smell in the air.
Petrichor.
Petrichor. The rain has stopped. The air is clean. The ground is wet. That's Ardra. But it's vibrant green. Sometimes the only way to get that clarity, the only way to see the world that sharply, is to let the storm roll through.
The pain is the price of the clarity.
Keep looking up.